In the meantime, you can say hello to the person sitting by your side and have a conversation. Find out how the night was. Was it a good night or it was full of nightmares? Exchange some contacts. You never know who is sitting next to you. You may need that person in future. Say hello to someone. I like the way you are smiling. Today is gonna be a good day. Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the MFWA's Public Forum on the Media and Food Safety. If you are happy to be part of this conversation, why don't you give me a response by an applause? Thank you so much for coming. We also want to welcome our guests who are watching on TV and online. We hope that you stick and stay with us throughout the program. Please note that cameras are rolling and photography is also ongoing. If for any reason you do not want your images captured, kindly alert the media team and we'll ensure that your rights are respected. This event is supported by the 11th Hour Project. We are grateful to them for their continued partnership. May I also invite you to join our online discussion. Remember to use the hashtag #MediaFoodSafety. And please do not forget to tag the MFWA and Default Estate. Wi-Fi details are available. If you need them, you can get access by speaking to our team at the registration desk. At the end of the event, feedback forms will be shared with you. And we'll crave your indulgence that you give us feedback so we can improve on our work the next time we meet with you. My name is Daniel Kwame Ampofo-J, PhD, PMP, and I lead on institutional development at the Media Foundation for West Africa. You're welcome once again, but to officially welcome us to this event, I am happy to introduce to you the program director for the MFWA's Media for Democracy and Good Governance program to speak and welcome us on behalf of our executive director, Sulemana Brahima. Shall we, with a thunderous applause, welcome Abigail. Fortuna, Toyota Fortuna GN 284320, kindly see us outside. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Good morning once again to everyone. It's a pleasure to have you here. And like Daniel said, I've had to do this on behalf of the Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, Sulemana, who has had to also attend to an equally important assignment this morning. And so, on his behalf, and of course the entire team at the Media Foundation, would like to welcome all of you to this important conversation that we are having this morning, themed the Media and Food Safety, Enhancing Public Awareness on Agrochemical Use in Ghana. I think that this morning's gathering is about a growing national concern, one about the increasing use and in some cases the misuse of agrochemicals in our food production systems and the implications that these have on our health. Across the country today, Ghanaians are increasingly becoming anxious about what ends up on our plates. Vegetables grown with unsafe pesticide residues, grains preserved with harmful chemicals, and fruits artificially ripened with dangerous substances. These are not abstract issues, and I think that even a while ago we saw a lady in one of the documentaries talking about it. They are the everyday realities affecting us as individuals and also as a collective. But as watchdogs, the media play a crucial and irreplaceable role. The stories journalists investigate, the questions we ask, the clarity we bring to issues, and the voices we amplify help shape public perception and guide national action. Yet the media cannot operate effectively without collaboration and information from regulators, scientists, farmers, civil society organizations, and consumer groups. Today's forum creates the space for us to have this important conversation. So as you can see on the agenda, for instance, we have lined up a number of different experts across media, across people who are actually working in areas of food safety. We also have Manye here with us. You know, we want to hear from the market women as well, what some of those motivations are in ripening the fruits even before we get to buy them. So it's an important conversation that we would encourage everyone to participate in, because our goal this morning is quite simple. It is to enhance public awareness, strengthen cooperation, and encourage evidence-based reporting that empowers citizens to demand safer foods throughout the food production value chain. We are privileged to have a lot of experts here, as I have already mentioned, to guide the conversation. And in the panel discussion session, we have representatives from the University of Ghana, from the Food Sovereignty Ghana. We also have, as I mentioned earlier, the Greater Accra Markets Association. We have the Food and Drugs Authority, and of course, a seasoned journalist from the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation will join us to share perspectives. And we hope that these perspectives would really also deepen our understanding on the challenges and opportunities in fostering a safer and more transparent food ecosystem in the country. I'd like to encourage all of us this morning to engage meaningfully and leave here committed to actions that collectively move Ghana towards a safer food future. We all eat. At least if you haven't had any meal this morning, as we go along in the day, you would have a meal. And we are all concerned about what kind of food we are consuming. How come you buy the tomato today and by tomorrow next, the whole tomato is getting rotten? And sometimes you buy it and it's so healthy. 2 minutes later, 2 days later, this whole tomato is going bad. So these are the conversations we want to have, and we'd like to extend our gratitude to the 11th Hour Project of the Smith Family Foundation for making this conversation possible. Thank you once again for making time to be part of this conversation, and we wish all of us a productive and inspiring conversation. Thank you very much, Daniel.
Thank you so much, Abigail, for welcoming us. We would transition to the screening of the documentary, but before then, let me acknowledge some key stakeholders who have joined us this morning. We have representatives from the CSIR Food Research Institute. We have Kabi here in present. We have the Ghana Academy of Nutrition and Diabetics. The University of Ghana is here, same as Valley View University. GIBA is also represented. Farm Radio International is here. CSIR Water Research Institute is also present. We have in our midst Peanut Farmers Association of Ghana. Arocha Ghana, thank you for coming. Ghana Agricultural Workers Union is here. Greater Accra Market Women Association is also represented. Permit me to discriminate by calling out Nane's name. Na Afrowa Dade Mpadwa the First. It's a two name, and she is also known in public life as Honorable Na Afrowa Nijan. We also have the CASA initiative here. FDA, thank you for coming. Plant Protection and Regulatory Services is also here. Noguchi is here. The Cucumber, Yam Farmers and Exporters Association is present. Food and Beverages Association of Ghana is here. And the Food Sovereignty Ghana and also Crop Life Ghana are all here present. You are not excited to have such a rich gathering. Please show me some form of excitement. Thank you all for coming. And let me remind you that we are live on the Joy News platforms on TV and online. We invite you one more time to join the online conversation, and remember to use the hashtag Media Food Safety. Media Food Safety. Remember to tag the fourth estate and the MFWA in your commentary. If the video setup is ready, we will transition and then go straight to hear what the stakeholders are saying.
A dangerous menace is causing damage on the quiet. Vegetables on the market now at risk of contamination.
We face problems with pests that actually destroy our crops and other stuff.
If you don't use it, they will end up damaging the crops. So we really need to use the pesticides.
The entirety of agrochemicals, they are all poisons, one way or the other. Once it's able to kill a pest,
I am on a recently harvested tomato field, and in my hand is a chemical called Ethimax 480 SL. Now, this chemical is one that is ideally supposed to be used on fruits like pineapples, bananas, etc. to help in their ripening. Now, there is something that is happening in several parts of farming communities in Ghana where farmers are now using chemicals like this one and several others that should do the same thing or perform the same activity on vegetables like tomatoes to quicken their ripening, just so they could avoid it going bad. In this story, I would be telling you why this is happening and what that means for you as a tomato consumer.
It's a Friday in Kase, a busy town in the Greater Accra region. This enclave is one of the biggest growing areas for vegetables like tomatoes and pepper. It's a market day and people have come from far and near to buy and sell. Kase's market is typically known for salt business, but around this time of the year, it's vegetables like tomatoes that is abundant in supply. Prices have fallen to an all-time low.
Edro boarding. Seed in Ankasa cry, Edria Granny boarding. Tama, all the time, this OG loan. If you have a grab loan, I do send your money by banner. We have a senior man on a buono, abafom. Now, sick out the shame monograno. When
Rose Bacha has come here from Kuforidia in the eastern region. She's been buying and selling tomatoes from here for more than 10 years. And this year, she has more available on the market to buy from. But there's a problem. She's concerned about the state of tomatoes on sale.
Sir, a bonny pejabe. Obiwa, Nidiano, I agree with the new seed in any. Ah, I was on China and no Ankasa in a hombre. On China, sir. Okoto edura yedema abrobe okoto sa edro di abebo nto se ne be bere ntem amano nti so de edro ne boni sa ade a uti ne ade be chi no na pro ne no akofo e be pro because of edona no odin sen in toast no see e ma ne say
Farmers, in a bid to get their tomatoes to ripen in time so they can get the best possible price, are adding chemicals that are ideally not for such vegetables. This problem is not just here. It looks like a widespread phenomenon.
Price ne ba na asane. Price ne njena. Nti se ne ba ne pa ne benya ne price ntem no. O ti se price ne peja pe. Na wo so nko boss eduru no nya. Ne sika ntem ansa na price no asan abafo. Ubeko na we ama compress say ntosi na emunye emu apro ehu ayese na che say uton ama ne 1000 a ontua 1000 because of we hu ne apro kakra yede ewo.
Rose's story is shared by several other traders that we have spoken to here. Another is Gifty Boete, who, apart from selling the tomatoes, is also a farmer that grows the vegetable.
I don't know what I mean. And some person, Munyascano, Temudia, Ayana baby. Baby, I would who got top and I was sick. Every I only miss a moody, a drogusu. And the Prama when now Ben say, you don't know how much it was so, what tomatoes in Usus are. Uber said, I was so.
Climate change and its effects on emerging pest and disease situation is making things difficult for our farmers. So you have situations where diseases that were not that prevalent are becoming a big challenge for us. The question is that how do farmers gain the capacity and knowledge to be able to manage this emerging pest and disease situation? Do farmers have that knowledge of what is the right time to attack this pest or disease? And if I should go the direction of chemical control, what quantity or what ingredients should I use? What quantity should I use per knapsack? And what is the appropriate time to apply this chemical?
I want to find out more about this problem, and so I'm going further into the farmlands around Kase to meet some of the farmers. Richard Kwesi Bosompra is one of the people at the forefront of the advocacy to get farmers to quit abusing chemicals and pesticides on crops. He works as an agri extension officer in the Ada East district where Kase is located. I'm going with him to Amlapo and Kolekope. These are two small villages here that are major growers of tomatoes.
The pesticide, every season with its own problems that come with it. Like this year, like this, we have some caterpillars. And then if you don't use it, they'll end up damaging the crops. So we really need to use that pesticides to control that pest.
We have a perception that when we use these pesticides, it will actually increase our yield, or it will actually do this, or actually do that. So that is the main reason why most of the farmers here use pesticides. And then we face problems with pests that actually destroy our crops and other stuff. And if you don't do that, meaning that you are going to lose most of your crops. And then given the prices of the seedlings that we buy to plant, if you don't protect it from the pests, you are going to run at a loss. And you can't continue anywhere. So that is why we mostly use the pesticides here.
Either it's a fungal disease, so most of the fungals are caused by the because every chemical that you go for has what we call a spray interval period. So, for instance, if you go for a particular chemical, it is being indicated on the bottle that, oh, this chemical will last for 7 days before its potency rate will be down. Some will also last for 14 days. It depends on the chemical that you've gone for. And so, you know, some of the farmers are ignorant about all these things. So some can go for chemicals which has a spray interval of 14 days. Meanwhile, the crop on the field, they are harvesting it already. And then maybe in an interval of maybe 3 days, they do go there to harvest. Yet they will use chemicals that have a spray interval of 14 days.
There's a natural cycle. When plants and animals die, they have to get rotting and mix with the soil. And those organisms that are supposed to help recycle these nutrients back into the soil for the plants to get, they are not there. So it has resulted in our soils, in our cropland being infertile. So what the government decided to do is to import artificial fertilizers.
This is the Ashaiman market. It's one of Greater Accra's largest, and it's here that some of the tomatoes bought from Kase come for onward sales to household food consumers.
The first month, what do you want? May 1 week cry, and Makasa a brief, not soon. Now you keep to a final cheer. I am to a good and plot. Yes, a bed a dry. By myself, would you go? I chat 3 days. 3 days in the poke of now I say, now you will say a drone with this channel. A dross man, and all say be a me pineapple. Name just and cannot have brief inside. And send a bar abontin. By the sea, abontini bring inside the membrane. And you draw nippany pentent to a cosplay. Till we are a crab was a penny who now bring inside the name. And you almost play.
And boy, because you toss a yaka, the bus and other same. Yes, and then so yes, a kaya de boy. Me who say, son, I am prone, me just say, quite a young swap. I be affect yes, I am a pro, a young so affect.
Some pesticides are designed scientifically to.
Prince Ishmael Dima is a dietitian. He has spent years studying food systems in Ghana and the effect that chemicals and pesticides, if wrongly applied, could have on human health through the food that we eat.
If you use a particular pesticide or plant regulator that enhances ripening very fast than is supposed to be its normal time, what it means is that some nutrients can be lost. If we use some of these pesticides or plant regulators to enhance the ripening of certain food products, we are likely to lose some of these carotenoids in the plants. We may also lose the content of vitamin C, ascorbic acid, right, which we also, the system, your body also needs it to properly function. When you cause ripening earlier or quicker than it's supposed to be naturally, you are likely to lose the content of dietary fiber. And we all know what really helps us as human beings is how much dietary fiber we consume. That is protecting us from, 1, colorectal cancers, certain cancers in our system. 2, it also is digestion. Dietary fiber is digestion, and therefore protects you against certain diseases that we know. So if we use some of these chemicals to sort of shorten or quicken the process of ripening, example in banana, in apple, all these things are leading to the diabetes situations we have in our country, the high sugary foods that we have in our country. Some of these products are as a result of the plant regulators or the chemicals that we are using in spraying them.
termites, which are also insects, are very important in, rejuvenating the nutrients in the soil. Now, with the intense spraying of pesticides, these termites are destroyed, so, well, including fire, so it kills them. They also help aerate the soil and also put nutrients back in the soil. Earthworms, obviously, when you spray and the chemicals wash into the soil, they will kill all of them. So all these things are rendering the soil infertile.
Back in Kase, the market women and the farmers who have all been counting their losses tell me what they think the government can and should do to help address the problem.
Sani ya kan seed ni boarding. Enti seed na ni boarding no. Enu nti na nipa na odua ye no. Ofo so say we say bo ba 100,000 a. E we say ote. No nya ni sika. Ansa na duro sika. Eye dan ya ye manifest. Ye born spray. Se na be amoa. Emmem. Enti sa sika ni nyina into spray ye mu na mo yi free. Enti say mo nya mo bi amoa ye about say bi a seed no. E ho asem.
What is the bottom line? The bottom line is that we put in preventive measures and curtail the aftermath. Okay, the ailments, the damages, which this country will eventually pay for, and ensure that farmers are trained, urban, peri-urban farmers are we intentionally create space for them to do their production, access to water as a resource, and I'm talking about quality water for our vegetables, training them, building their capacity, to be able to use agrochemicals in the right and appropriate ways. We are not saying don't use agrochemicals, but if you use it with proper guidelines.
Science has to back all the chemicals we are using for our farming. We have to, as a community, as a country, as a people, start to reason up and then know how we use these chemicals for our own health.
The excessive use of agrochemicals is not only happening with tomatoes. On this journey, we have been told about pesticide abuse on garden eggs, pepper, and even fruits like banana, pineapples, among others. The issue of food safety raises concern that need addressing. Changing weather patterns would continue to put pressure on farmlands and resources, and also food. This means that deliberate work needs to be done to ensure human lives are protected, while securing the earnings and livelihoods of farmers who produce the food that we eat.
I was expecting an applause for the Fourth Estate team for putting this together. So we say Fourth Estate, the team is here. Then you respond. Yeah, hey, thank you so much for the good work you're doing for Mother Ghana. If you are watching us on Joy News, we are coming to you live from the Men's Vic Hotel here in Accra. The subject is we are discussing food safety. To what extent, in what way, what can the media do to enhance food safety? We are happy that you've joined us. Let the conversations continue on social media. Remember to use the hashtag food safety, media food safety, and do not forget to tag the Fourth Estate and the MFWA. I'm sure you are excited about the documentary and you are itching to share your own comments. But hold on. You'll get the opportunity very soon. At this juncture, we are going to throw more light on what we heard from the documentary. To do that for us is Mr. Yakubu Adam. He is a distinguished molecular biologist and a toxicologist with expertise spanning drug discovery, toxicology, and forensic investigation. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in molecular biology and biotechnology. He also has a Master of Philosophy degree in drug discovery and toxicology, both from the University of Cape Coast, also known as University of Choice. Mr. Adam has served as a consultant toxicologist with forensic investigation for National Development Ghana since 2021. He's taught in several academic institutions, including the Farmer Trust Professional College, the University of Cape Coast Switch Program, Islamic Nursing Training School, and Maranatha University. He currently lectures at Clinton's University College of Health and Allied Sciences. Beyond academia, he is a passionate public health advocate and a regular guest of the major media platforms in Ghana. He actively campaigns against the use of mercury and cyanide in illegal mining and raises awareness about harmful chemicals in cosmetic products that have been linked to conditions such as polycystic ovary syndrome in women. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I have the singular honor of introducing our keynote speaker, Mr. Yakubu Adam. Shall we receive him with an applause as he draws near the podium?
Thank you very much. And it's also an honor being here to actually throw more light on whatever we've seen. Once again, good morning, everyone, and welcome. Now, I believe by now we all believe that we are all working experiments. We are just waiting for the outcome because day in, day out, we have been exposed to chemicals. So we are just waiting for the outcome. And recently we've seen a surge in a whole lot of non-communicable disease, which can be associated with the exposures. So we are just waiting for that. Find Ghana, forensic investigation for National Development Ghana. We are currently doing a research trying to sample fish and I think the chicken that we buy from our co-store. And the investigation will come out soon. We are partnering with one media station. And we realized that they are using formaldehyde because they don't want to buy light or pay more electricity. So when you use formaldehyde throughout the night, when you come back, your goods will not get spots. And they will just continue using the electricity during the day. This is saving them economically. This is happening. And I believe on the timeline, around 1 p.m., we will be going in for lunch. And most of us will be taking a chicken. Yes. So meaning this is a concern for all of us here, food safety. Now we are talking about food safety. For me, I believe in holistic approach when it comes to food safety. Not only just agrochemicals. Even research have shown that even the bowl that we end up cooking our food in, that's the non-stick cookware. It's more deleterious than even the agrochemicals that have been used in the food chain. So it's a holistic approach, but I also believe with the school of thought that whenever there is a problem, let's break the problem down into smaller pieces. You know, this approach is multifaceted, so breaking them down, I think we can handle that. And today we are here to look at the agrochemicals. Now, agrochemicals come from the word agricultural chemical. So any chemical that is used in the in the process of we are having the food on our table, meaning from farming to storage, to harvesting, cultivation, storage, and everything. The chemicals that are being used is what we normally call the agrochemicals. But I think the agrochemicals of concern is the one that are used mostly for preservation and also controlling the pests. We cannot say pesticides are no good. We cannot just throw it to the gutter, because without that, how can we even increase our health? Even in Ghana, we use pesticides and all other agrochemicals, but we can't still feed ourselves. So imagine if you are not using them, what could have happened? In 1845, in Ireland, you know, Ireland, they go into Irish potato. They consume Irish potato a lot. So in 1845, there was a pest invasion on their crops, and that leads to catastrophic destruction of their crops. And that led to famine in Ireland in 1845. That lasted for 7 years, killing a lot of people, about 1 million people. So meaning, pesticides is something we cannot do away with. It's part of the agrochemical or agricultural processes. But the issue here was how to handle them. And one thing, in 1500, there was the father of toxicology called Paracelsus. He says everything is poisonous. The only thing that separates poison from a remedy is the dose, the amount. However, there's another school of thought that based on the character of the drug, sometimes you don't have to even wait for an increased amount. It can cause an effect. Let's look at what I have for you. So we all believe that pesticides is a necessary evil. Though it causes harm, but it's still very important that we should use them. So if it has become a necessary evil, then what measures are we putting in place in order to prevent or reduce human exposure? Now, when we start to these pesticides, we have the most popular one, the DDT, diphenyl trichloroethane, the popular one. It was discovered around 1872 and was actually formalized for commercials around 1948. Little did we know that this was carcinogenic. Later on, we realized that DDT was carcinogenic, but we were applying it on our crops. We have other chemicals like the paraquats, like the glyphosate, like the 1,2-dibromo-3-chloropropane. We have a lot of them that has now currently been banned in the European Union and the US and the United States, but it's still currently here in Ghana. When I was coming, I tried to check from the EPA register, and I realized that as of 2023, we have about 1,038 agrochemicals being certified by them, and about 32 being banned. And out of the 1,038, we have chemicals that has been banned in other countries. I'm not saying that because it has been banned in other countries, EPA must also ban it. Because remember, when it comes to this regulatory agency, they are autonomous, even though they are part of international agencies, but you can still have the right to make your own decisions. But we are proponents of agrochemicals. Some people will say, oh, it's nothing. We can still use them. Remember, when DDT was discovered, we said it was good. People were using them, even controlling malaria and everything, because it can have the ability to control or kill mosquito. But little did you know that it's carcinogenic. Currently, the pesticide we are using, we might not know the impact that it's going to have on us. What if it's deleterious? We will know, and it will be too late. So we shouldn't wait for that. And there's a principle in environmental management called the precautionary principle. Sometimes we don't need scientific evidence to tell us that this is harmful before we take action. So far as most of the agrochemicals has not been scientifically proven to be deleterious, does not mean that it's not deleterious. We have to take the precaution now. What if it is deleterious? The harm that is going to cause is irreversible. And that time, I repeat again, it will be too late. So that's why we need to take precautionary measures currently. You know, the reason why there are no clinical data, most of the pesticides, there's no data. The reason why there are no clinical data is because it's unethical for me to use the MC. That, okay, I want to see the effect of agbamectin on you, so start consuming agbamectin. It doesn't work that way. So mostly we use animals to do that. And animal studies too, because of different physiology and everything, cannot be used to be extrapolate that of human data. However, it gives us an idea, because since we are mammals and they are also mammals, we share certain characteristics. But so far as we don't have data, it doesn't mean we shouldn't take precautions, because I know we are going to have a panel discussion, and others will be arguing for the fact that pesticides are good, because there is no clinical data to say otherwise. But let's think about these other chemicals that were discovered in the early 1900s, and by the 1980s, it was banned. What happened? It took 70 years for them to know. For me, I may not know, because I'm not even 32. So I will not know, and this effect may be more deleterious. Now, how can we control this? I'm giving 20 minutes, so I don't want to go beyond that. But before that, now agrochemicals is not the only thing that is contaminating our food chain. Now we have galamsey, which I've been an advocate against galamsey for the past 3 years. My focus was on the health implication on galamsey. Now we are consuming mercury. Now we are consuming lead. All these things, mostly not. Some people are saying that when you take the mercury, and because it's very expensive, they make sure that it does not get evaporated or anything. But remember, the more you dig into the earth crust, the more you are exposed to naturally occurring mercury or naturally occurring heavy metals. So this heavy metal we are talking about, mostly is not coming from whatever they use in catching the good from its ore. But it's actually the digging. So we shouldn't just deviate our mind that our mercury no boarding, so mostly they don't use that. Now our food, we'll be having heavy metals. This same food, agrochemicals. From there, after cultivating the food and cooking them, we cook them in non-stick cookware, another exposure. From there, you go and buy chicken, formaldehyde. You put them together. Now you eat. That becomes what? Cocktail of chemicals. But what this is what undidi. But what should we do? Now we can blame the regulatory agency, the EPA, Ghana Standard Authority, or whoever is involved. But remember, how would FDA or EPA regulate the market women that went in for the banana and try to ripen it? They will not follow you to your rooms. And one thing about these chemicals is that before I can test that this banana contains this chemical, I must have the chemical in mind. I might know the chemicals that I'm looking for, because there are a lot of chemicals. So you need a standard to guide you so that you can identify the chemical in there. That becomes the challenge. And there are a lot of chemicals, and it's very expensive for you to use trying to screen for all these chemicals. So you need to, first of all, have suspicion that this chemical that I'm looking for. If not, you will not see that. And look at the number of chemicals we have currently in this country that has been approved by the FDA. It's very difficult. So sometimes I don't blame them. But not blaming them too does not mean that they should also sit aloof without doing anything. At least it is not my responsibility to check whether my food contains chemical. I cannot go and buy cassava and go to the Ghana Standard Authority to test for me. It's up to them to come in. When it comes to FDA, they mostly focus on the processed food. So you don't see FDA coming in for banche, coming in for body. That one is under the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. They have to regulate that. But what about, so they focus on the processed food. So what about the raw food? So it's high time we sit down as a country and have holistic measure when it comes to controlling of chemicals or pesticides that we are exposed to. Now the FDA, I don't know why I'm saying FDA, EPA. Now the EPA, they have a lot of regulations, but it's about the enforcement. Last time I was speaking on one media station, they were talking about personnel. Our government should now focus or put more attention there. Let's get a lot of personnel that can help these regulatory bodies to go into even our villages to do their work. We have a lot of enthusiastic youth that want to work, but the problem is they are not employed. So I'm appealing to the government that whenever they are recruiting, they normally focus on the health practitioners. But remember, prevention is better than cure. So when we focus on prevention, by making sure that we empower these regulatory bodies, they will prevent people trooping in the hospital. Our attention shouldn't be there. Our attention should also be at the preventive state. So that's why I'm using this platform to appeal to the government. FDA need a lot of people. EPA need a lot of people. Ghana Standard Authority, they are those that are regulating these chemical exposures that we are currently finding ourselves. And these EPA, they have the regulation because from what I saw, I realized that they are part of the Rotterdam Convention, Basel Convention, Stockholm Convention, and they are part of a lot of international regulation bodies. That sees to it that chemical exposure is being mitigated. So they have the legislation. Now it's left with what? Enforcing it. And to enforce it, we need more people on deck to do that. Socrates said something. It's one of the old Asian philosophy that let thy food be thy medicine, else thy medicine will be thy food. Let your food be your medicine, else one day you will take medicine as your food. Recently, there was a case. There was about 2,300 kidney cases that has been reported to. That was reported at Kolebu Teaching Hospital. What is happening? We are not saying that agrochemicals is contributing to kidney failure, but it's a risk factor. So if it's a risk factor, why don't do away with the risk factor? Something we can do away with. Why don't we do away with it right now? Most of us here, especially the ladies, research have shown that when they take their women, at least one person is suffering from polycystic ovarian syndrome. And we can get some here, just that they will not own up. But you know, what is resulting into that? Sometimes you'll be exposed to these chemicals and you'll be saying that, I'm not having the effect. Somebody tells you that I've smoked for 50 years, I'm not having any lung cancer or anything. But remember, there's something we call transgenerational or multi-generational toxicity. You may not have the effect, but your case will live to have an effect. I'm not here to tell us, to try to explain what has happened. Everybody knows. It's a public knowledge that what they are doing is bad. I don't need to come and reaffirm it here to tell you that applying agrochemicals to our food is bad. You know, and we are all actors. Let's act now. Else, if it does not affect you, it will affect your future generations. Let's do something now. I don't want to be boring, and I don't want to talk much. But it's upon us, because we don't know where our food are coming from. This morning we took in breakfast. We don't know where this is coming from. And one funny thing is that, which I want to end with, one funny thing is that these chemicals that we import, sometimes they are concealed chemicals. So you see the chemical coming this way, and you see the ingredients. Sometimes they remove certain ingredients out. And it's allowed by the US law. In 2016, we have something we call the Defense Trade Secrets Act. That was passed by Parliament in US to prevent them from revealing certain chemicals, to prevent manufacturers from revealing certain chemicals that they are using in their product, just to prevent people from copying them or something. They do that, and even in Ghana, when you take the EP Act, the Environmental Protection Act 1124, the new one, when you go to part 2, that talks about pesticides control and management. It also has been outlined that even in Ghana, when you manufacture any chemical to sell or do anything, you can conceal certain chemicals not to be known to the public. So sometimes you'll be applying certain things on your crops, but you may not know what you are applying on it. And one thing is that when this chemical also gets into our soil, it can be biotransformed. This organism or microorganism found in the soil can convert it into another form that may be more toxic to us. So sometimes the pesticide may not be toxic on its own, but because of their transformation by the microbial organisms found in the soil, it will end up changing into another form. And you know, or if sometimes it does not change, it ends up killing this microorganism. And this microorganism makes sure that we have a lot of carbon in our soil. And this carbon is necessary for our food production, because we all know glucose chemical formula contains carbon. So carbon is also a more important element that must be considered when it comes to crop growing. So these are the various effects. For the health effects, we know paraquat, that is still currently not banned in Ghana. Paraquat can lead to fibrosis, that is of the liver. And it can lead to Parkinson's disease. But I don't know, maybe EPA is here. They will tell us more. And the law was even saying, was very clear, that EPA must revise their register every 6 months. But for the past 2 years, they are yet to revise. So, like, you can explain, Taya, this country, that's the problem. And it may not be their fault. But so basically, that's where I'll end. We have a lot to talk about. I'll be around and I'll take more questions if anything. Thank you very much.
Shall we appreciate his effort better as he takes his seat? Thank you so much, Mr. Adam. May I request the team that we prepare the stage for our panel discussion. We are told that we are what we eat. So if we are what we eat, and we are eating chemicals, then very soon all of us will be named on the periodic table. I don't know what name you will be preferred to be known as. So as the stage is being
it's profitable, and then sometimes you lose, and you lose very bad, because you asked about the spray. The spray is sometimes good, and it's also sometimes bad. Okay. When I say it's good, it means that when you buy it from the market and they've already sprayed, you buy it bulk, like this banana, we buy it in a basket. Okay. So that basket, they give it to us in a certain price, like let's say 500 cedis. So they spray all that. Then by the time you get to your shop, when you open it, it's all ripe, like as in fully, and then as in yellow. And that is what the customers want. So when you take it like this, you can sell it and sell it easy. But then when I say it's bad, it means that when you don't sell it at a particular time range, it gets bad, as in it will get rotten, and then you lose. So that's it, and it's really bad. Compared to the spray one, the spray one would last for like 3 days or 4. Maximum 5, but it will be changing colors, because this is maybe it has started to do like this. The next day it will change to this. The other previous 3 days it will come to this. Then now it will get rotten finally. But the unsprayed one, because you've not sprayed it, naturally God have made it in such a way that it has to ripe one by one. One by one. Okay. So when this one ripe, this one too ripe. So you can just take this one, maybe it's on your table, as in home, your table, your dining place. So you take the one that is ripe, this one take the one that's ripe. So the other one will ripe the next day, the next 2 days. So it can take like maybe 10 days or even 20 days for everything to finish up. But then you want it immediately. You are buying it right now to chew, you want it immediately. So when you buy this, you want everything to be ripe at once. So that is when we spray it. So the difference is, this whole one is ripe. Okay. They are all ripe, so it means that they've already sprayed it. Okay. But the ones that are unsprayed, it means that one will be ripe, one will not be ripe.
So they ripe one by one?
Yes.
And not together?
Not together. Not together. And most of the time, this side will be very green, but then this one is all ripe too.
Have you made significant losses because of the spraying before?
Yes, we do all the time. Every fruit business do all the time.
So on the average, on a very bad day, how much have you lost before?
You can't determine it by the money, but you can determine by the whole thing can go bad. Let's say if it ripes and then no one buy it for like 2 or 3 days, they all can get spots. You have to throw it away.
So and that costs you how much?
Oh, if let's say you bought this whole banana like a basket like 500 cedis and you're able to sell like 100 cedis, that means 400 cedis is gone. But if you are lucky and you're in a good place that there's farmers and other places come to buy the rotten ones from you, that one is also good.
What do they use that for?
Some use it for fertilizer and other stuffs. So that one is also good. They can give you some small money, not plenty, but small. Yeah.
But do you have an idea of what this spraying does to the human body?
The idea, I learned there is no really bad effect. Yes, but just that it makes the fruit get ripe easily. That's it.
So who said this? Where did you learn this
from them, those that add it, yes.
Oh, those who add
yes.
in the market?
Yes, you've already asked them.
You asked them, and
yes.
they said that...
It really not affect you, but what affects them is that those that they do it, maybe your hands, if you use your raw hands to spring it makes your hand get bad, like get hurt. So you have to wear gloves and those things.
So imagine if that is spraying. You're spraying this on using, it affects your hand, right? When you are spraying.
Yes, like immediately.
Yeah, it affects your hand.
But when it is on it like this, I touch it, nothing will do to you.
So imagine the residue is in the food, and then you consume it. Imagine what it does to your body.
They said no, it wouldn't. But the fresh, because you are putting it, you are missing it fresh. That's what it happens.
But do you believe that it does nothing to the human body?
I believe because the way, like you said, the way it affects your hands, and then you are eating it all the time. People actually buy it all the time, and then I've not seen somebody having a rotten, stomach before. So definitely, it doesn't really affect you.
Okay.
The mangoes too, it happens like that. You see this one.
Sprayed?
Yes, all of them. Like I said, if you don't spray it, it wouldn't go well. Do you understand? But it's one that's actually ripe on its own. So let's say.
Well, this is a normal mango, isn't it?
This is a normal mango. Yes.
Has this been sprayed?
Right now, I can't determine whether it's sprayed or not. But then, if you want all of them, because like I said, when you are going to buy the fruit, you buy it per basket. Do you understand? So they mix it up for you. Or maybe all is unripe. But you are come to sell it. You can't say you are waiting for 10 days before you sell them, because for the 10 days for this whole basket to be sold out, it means that it has to be ripe one by one. Inside, like this one will get ripe, then you sell this one today for somebody. But the pressure on you.
First female registrar of the University of Professional Studies, Accra. I was expecting an applause from you. She is also the host of GTV's popular talk show program, Talking Point. In fact, is the mother of all talk shows in Ghana. I have the privilege of introducing Professor Koyo Onimwright to lead us and introduce her panel. Please welcome her as she comes. Thank you very much, Prof.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you are well. I know I'm not looking forward to lunch as much as I was earlier on. I mean, my appetite is gone, but welcome to all of you. We're going to have a very robust discussion and hopefully interesting and interactive one. So I hope you listen carefully and you join in when we have Q&A so that we can actually go home with something that we can share with our friends and loved ones on how we can make this issue one that is more prevalent in the conversation publicly and have some recommendations going forward. So I'd like to introduce our panelists. Edwin Bafo, who is the Communications Director of Food Sovereignty Ghana. If you're here, please join us. We also have a representative from the Food and Drugs Administration. If you are here, as you come, if you could tell me your name And so we can...
I am Maureen Lati.
Welcome. And we also have Honorable Messina Afrowa Nijan. She's the president of the Greater Accra Markets Association. Thank you. Dr. Kwame Sapong Apia, he's a crop scientist with the University of Ghana. And media stakeholder Joyce Jechi, journalist with the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. Welcome. Jechi, okay, great. So before we begin, maybe each of you could give a very brief, no more than 1 minute, opening remark on what your perspectives are on what we've heard so far, and specifically on food safety and agrochemical use. So if I could start with you, Joyce.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning to everyone. Joyce Jechi is my name, and from Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, the radio division and head of the environment desk. We all heard this morning, everyone by the close of day might have had something in their stomach in the form of food, be it vegetables, grains or cereals. But in Ghana today, the food that we eat carries risk that many cannot see. Pesticides on vegetables, residues on all sorts of foods that we have. Not long ago, there was this Sudan 4 chemical in palm oil. Sudan 4 in palm oil. That was banned in the European countries and also even causing an uproar in Ghana. And that was very topical. So with the intervention of institutions like CABI, the whole lot of things went on to kind of help reverse this. But then the role of the media comes in handy, because as media practitioners, we are supposed to really expose the dangers, where these chemicals are coming from, those who are really into it and helping facilitate it, and also how we can put a spotlight on how to call duty bearers accountable and help address the issue. So today, before the close of this event, I hope we might all have an insight into what media practitioners can do or are doing in helping addressing this issue, and also looking out for alternative kind of practices like agroecological farming, which is gaining traction in this part of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Sapong, just quickly, just 1 minute, just a brief overview, opening statement.
Prof. Odeta, thank you, and good morning to each and every one of you. So, yeah, agrochemicals are very important. I would say we cannot do agriculture and sustain ourselves without agrochemicals. However, the issue has to do with use and then misuse, and then there's a thin line between this, because for the farmer, he thinks he's using to get optimum benefit. However, the misuse is what is, causing this whole discussion. So this discussion is coming in handy, since we need more education, and the media will play a very important role to it. So I'm sure after this discussion, the media will rethink how they are going to help in educating our farmers and also other stakeholders. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm a market woman, and I'm always in the market. And I think it is a big privilege for the media to take this food safety up seriously. Because unfortunately, because we are in the market and we are the last to the consumer, anything which is bad in food safety is placed on our shoulders. Although we don't have idea of how the preservation, how the spraying is done, all we know that we go buy items or food items that we think will be a good market for us. But unfortunately, everything falls on our Now, there's one problem we do have. As I sat there, turning my head up and down, we are in Ghana, we are in Accra. But unfortunately, if I go back there, they ask me, Manye, me not care. All that I will say is, Ayewa, Ayepi. Please, let your education, let your sensitization get to the important people in the market. Use languages they will understand and languages they can use to express themselves. Please, all those who were on they were speaking Twi. But why do you want to always try the English language when you are coming to our speech? We need our local languages so that we'll be able to educate our members, for the members to let the message get to the consumers. Thank you.
Thank you. The way Market Queen spoke, I am tempted to speak Ghana. So, when it comes to food safety, FDA finds itself in a very critical role when it has to do with Sudan dyes in palm oil, or formalin in fish or chicken, or pesticide residues in food products. It's all FDA. So today we are focusing on agrochemicals, so pesticide residues. So with the FDA, we screen products that come for registration. Somebody mentioned that FDA focuses on packaged processed products more. Yes, that was our mandate from the beginning, but somewhere along the line we had to embrace the agro-produce. So we've been working with, we've been working with the local governments when it comes to regulation of agro-products. Yes, so we screen the processed products that come for registration, and we've also teamed up with other agencies to do a periodic service on the agro-produce, so picking samples and screening them for pesticide residues. So these are all we do. Thank you. When it comes to agro, thank you.
Thank you very much. From the perspective of Food Sovereignty Ghana, we are very concerned about the prevalence of agrochemicals in all our food. We believe that the effect on the health and the environment is very concerning, that the residual cost to the nation of continuing to pursue this direction of agrochemical farming is going to eventually cost us more than we see in the destruction of the environment, in the destruction of health, in an increased health budget for the Ministry of Health. And then also with the loss of biodiversity, because these chemicals are dangerous. As some of the farmers said, they kill everything apart from the targets, so the earthworms, all the healthy microorganisms, all the healthy fungi in the soil are destroyed. And the ecosystem is a natural balance. So once you tamper with this, you may be fixing one thing in one corner, thinking that you are helping out, and in the other hand, you're destroying. It's ironic that in Ghana, the reference to these chemicals, they call it condemn. You go to the rural area, you see someone going to condemn. It's ironic that the meaning of the word condemn says a lot about what we're doing to the earth and our bodies. So we're very concerned. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If I could ask those in the back to kindly keep their voices down. Thank you. So, Dr. Sabong, if I can ask you, what are the common agrochemicals that are misused in Ghana, and what risks do they pose? From a scientific perspective, if you can.
Yeah, Prof. Moderator, thank you. So, just as I said in my initial remarks, the farmers are interested in enhancing the productivity that they have. And then without these agrochemicals, they are meant to protect them from insects and then other pests. So the farmers, obviously, they have to apply some of these agrochemicals. And then, so in Ghana, just like many other countries, these agrochemicals, they come in different groups. So we have the insecticides, Those are for the insect pests. And then we have the herbicides. Usually people don't consider the herbicides as part of the agrochemical. They are also part of it. And then we have those, the fungicides. So usually the herbicides keeps increasing, obviously because of the declining labor in agriculture. So the labor is declining, and then also the cost of labor in agriculture is increasing. So if you talk to the farmers, what they do say is that, well, labor is increasing. What they call the by day is increasing. So what do I have to do? I have to spray the herbicide. So the weedicides and then the herbicides are among the agrochemicals that are being misused. And then I usually put this misuse in different categories. So one category that I think is that the misuse in terms of the farmers applying the agrochemicals or the pesticides against the recommended rate. So if you look at the glyphosate, for instance, that's the most widely used herbicide we have in Ghana. The recommended rate is usually around the 0.5 to 3 liters per hectare. But then if you go to the field and then per the studies that have been published, we are doing in excess of 0.5 to 2.7, and then sometimes in around 5 liters per hectare. And I'm glad they showed in the documentary, they showed a video that somebody was applying some of these agrochemicals. So the misuse, first, it comes in the farmers applying in excess of the recommended rate. And then also another misuse has to do with the farmers not using the PPEs. So for instance, those in the medical field, before you even operate or before you even touch on the patient, you are supposed to protect yourself and other kind of thing. But then if you look at least 2 people, spraying on the field, and then none of them had any of the PPEs. And this is the case of most, for instance, the current data suggests that when they did the research, only 10% of the farmers said they use PPEs. And then they're using PPEs, it's not even the complete one. So, for instance, if you are spraying, you are supposed to cover your nose, you are supposed to wear goggles, you are supposed to wear hand gloves, you are supposed to wear an overall. So usually those who, apply this, wear these PPEs are those in the large scale, like Golden Exotic, they do that. But then those in our small scale farmers, they don't do that. So misuse had to do with the farmers not waiting for the recommended period before harvesting. So just as Yakubu said in his remarks, every agrochemical that we have, especially the pesticide, they have waiting period that you are supposed to wait before you harvest the produce. But then unfortunately, most of our farmers, they do not wait for those periods. So for instance, in the study that was done, they picked the AMA, vegetable farmers in the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. And then what they noticed was that for farmers who were supposed to wait for 8 days, only about 27% waited for the 8 days. However, if you move away from the urban areas, the waiting period increases. So for instance, in the Kwabibrim area, over 80% were waiting for the 8 days and above. So it has to do with the pressure on the farmers to produce, send their produce to the market, and then also the need to get returns on their investment. So the misuse comes in multiple fold. First, the recommended rate, which is the most serious one, and then the agrochemicals that are being farmers that are applying it without using the PPEs, and then another dangerous trend is where farmers are mixing the agrochemicals. These pesticides, they all have different mode of action. So if you take the chlorpyrifos, they have different mode of action. Either they are affecting the nervous system or different things. So then these farmers, they are trying to say that one time when we interviewed some of the farmers, they said that, okay, there's, I don't want to mention the names of I don't want any issue for that. So when they said that this particular insecticide that we applied last year was working well, and then we applied this one also, and it's doing well. So why not combine the two insecticide and then apply it. And then they are doing that. So that is also another form of misuse, if I must put it that way. Thank you.
Thank you. It's interesting that we heard from the guest speaker about food being our medicine or medicine being our food, and some of the analogies that are going on and how medicine is being mixed, even in the human body, what it causes and what it also does to our food. But Mr. Bafo, so we've heard a lot about the fact that this issue is very prevalent, but we want to get a sense or an idea of just how widespread it is, and not just that, but what systemic factors, regulatory, policy, market factors, what is driving this?
Thank you. Research shows that about between 60 and 80% of all farmers in Ghana use agrochemicals, which is extremely, extremely high. So it's a systematic problem, because from a policy level, unfortunately, I think our policymakers think that you can only grow food by using agrochemicals, because our ancestors never used agrochemicals to grow food. In fact, if you travel abroad, there's now a premium on food that is not grown with chemicals, what people call organic. But organic was the normal food that we used to grow. So about 70% of all farmers use these dangerous agrochemicals, and they all have these active ingredients, which many of them are carcinogenic, like everyone has said. So something like glyphosate, for instance, was in 2014 already put on the list of potential carcinogenic substances by the International, was the IARC, International Cancer Research Agency. The reason being, like I said, from a policy perspective, if at the top, what you do in your home, you couldn't do certain things in your home if your mother or your father didn't allow it. You couldn't do certain things in the dorm if the dorm prefect or the matron didn't allow it. So within a nation, if we set ourselves the priority that for future generations, for the need of maintaining the environment, for the need of keeping the biodiversity that we have, we must move away from these dangerous chemicals, as other countries who are so-called developed countries are doing. We could learn a lesson and start investing in agroecology and organic farming. These types of farming actually help the environment, because they help to maintain the balance. You see, if an earthworm has a specific role that it plays in the soil, it makes holes in the soil, it aerates the soil. The funguses that grow in the soil, they all have their roles to play. So when you think you are tweaking one problem, you are messing up a whole balanced ecosystem, because there are all kinds of things that depend on the earthworm. And so it's a very serious problem in Ghana, and I think at a policy level, we must start seeing a greater emphasis from the Ministry of Agriculture to pursue what is organic farming. At the end of the day, organic farming and agroecology actually empowers farmers, because most of the inputs are found around the farm. The natural pesticides like neem, tobacco, garlic, pepper, these are found on the farm. The farmer doesn't have to invest in them. They don't come to Ghana by ship or by plane. So they're not affected by the dollar or Ukraine and Russia or whatever excuses we want to use for the fact that we don't want to focus on utilizing the land that we have. Unfortunately, we're destroying our rivers, but Ghana has one of the highest surface water to land ratios in the world, as far as how much population we have and how many rivers we have. Some countries don't even have one river in their country. So given the amount of land, the amount of sunshine and rainfall, and the amount of rivers covering our land, we should be focusing on producing organic foods, which after we feed ourselves, we can export to countries who pay us a premium. Which Ghanaian farmer wouldn't want to earn more money for their produce because another country is willing to pay more for it? And at the end of the day, like I said, this affects people's health. So now you have a greater prevalence of kidney disease, even child cancer, which didn't exist before. And it is primarily due to the way that we are producing. And at the end of the day, the soil is a living entity. So soil fertility, you can't replace it with anything. You can't bring magic seeds that will do well in a soil that can nurture life. And so I think from a policy perspective, we need to look at how are we importing all these chemicals by the container load. Thousands and thousands of containers come into this country. And then, like everyone has said, there's very little education about them. In fact, if you talk to senior past officials who worked in the Ministry of Agriculture, they'll tell you that when some of these chemicals first came to Ghana, they didn't even have warning labels. They came in sachets and packets that are not regular size. So the people who started using them in the rural areas, some even would taste them with their mouth, with their fingers to see if it's strong enough. It's still going on today. So from a policy perspective, we have to decide what it is that we want, whether we want to continue to poison ourselves, but it's a clear and present danger that is facing us. And I think the sooner we take action, the better. And there's this perception that it's only agrochemicals that can produce food and farming. But the majority of the food on the planet is grown by smallholder farmers. So if we encourage smallholder farmers to do responsible farming, as they've known for millennia, I think we'll avoid a lot of these problems that are going to face us whether we like it or not.
Thank you. Honorable Naf Afua, you know, during the video, we heard a lot of the market women lamenting about the impact of this on their finances and how they are able to preserve what it is that they are trying to sell. In your opinion, what is happening with the traders, and is the fact that they are buying some of these products indirectly encouraging some of the things that we are seeing happening?
Thank you very much. Presently, if you look at the whole issue of food safety, you see that the market traders are at disadvantage because we are losing a lot of our capital, a lot of our investment, a lot of our bank loans. You buy the goods which you are supposed to sell maybe within 3, 4, 5 days. And if you are not lucky, the next day, everything will be coming rotten. There is no area where you can keep the food safe. There is no place for storage. There is no proper place for, using the items for something which will be profitable later. So if you see that your goods are getting rotten, it means you have to sit down and pray for customers to come and buy, or other than that, you take your burden alone. Also, we are traders and we are in to make money. And our first step is our customers. So if you know and you are aware that the goods you are selling, some have got chemicals that are not favorable for the human body, and you are innocently buying them and selling them to your customers, what idea are you portraying? Do you want your customers to die? And the next time, who is coming to buy for you? So I'm sure if we get the correct training, we get the correct education, and we get contact with those who handle food, and the education is deep, I think a lot of these things can be reduced, because nobody wants to sell bad food to a customer for the customer not to come again. So we are listening to the education. We want a change. We want an improvement by at least getting places, if tomatoes is in abundant, whatness, it is sold very cheap for the farmers to lose their capital, for the traders to lose our capital. Have we made any proper arrangements where they can use these tomatoes for tin tomatoes or other things which can be used later, so that they will not be forced to try as much as possible, whether good price or bad price, to just let the goods move? And also, one delicate issue, if we don't take care, and these goods are there, and they are losing their value. I don't know, because those who sell bulk food are also waiting. Yes, I have to be frank. They are waiting for the bad ones to buy at a cheaper price. So we have to try as much as possible to make proper arrangements where we will not lie the goods to spoil for others to come and take and cook for us to eat. Because we all eat cooked food outside. So I think proper storage facility. When I traveled, and where they are selling food stuff, they said cold room. It's not on the sun. It's a cold room, like where we are sitting. They display their goods, sell. When they finish, they leave it there. The room is cold. And the following day, they will come and the goods are there in good shape, and they will come and sell. Please, we need our factories, we need our cold stores, and we need more education. We like it. More education in the language we will understand. If it is in Accra, use the Accra. If it's in Kumasi, use the. We need languages we will understand, so that we will also be able to eat from our wealth. Not that this year tomatoes will be in abundance, you lose all your capital. Next year, the price will be higher, and those who have got small capital can take advantage and they will make money. Because it's not consistent. It will be up and down, up and down. Let's get proper arrangements so that we store the goods. You sometimes come to Agrochemicals, and tomatoes will be running on the ground like river. Everything is spoiled. If there's proper arrangements, they can just keep these tomatoes. If you feel send it to the cold room. Tomorrow you will go and take it and sell. And please, our dear farmers, they are friends. They help us to get goods to sell. Please, we are begging them, if anything at all, and some women who may not understand the value of food safety ask you to put something you have been trained is not good on the goods for them to get it quicker. Please, they should also educate them. So it's not one-sided. Women, the market women educating the farmers educating the market women, so that we will always get fresh things to buy, we will always get our customers in good health, and we will always make good business, because they will always be coming back to us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Madam Maureen, in your opening remarks, you mentioned some of the activities that FDA was involved in, including with palm oil, if I remember correctly. But as you sit here with us today, I was wondering if the FDA was aware of the increasing concerns that Ghanaians have regarding this use or misuse of agrochemicals, and more additionally, some of the concerns we have about the implications it has on our public health.
Okay, thank you very much. As we have heard previously, LD happens to be at the end, the post-harvest parts of the food value chain. So if the farmers are well informed that the usage of agrochemicals should be within the limited number of days or weeks before harvesting, and it should be used at the right concentrations, then we wouldn't be sitting here. And we have also mentioned that food safety is everybody's business. As you sit here, some people maybe just lay people, but we are all aware of these chemicals and what they do. We have heard of cancers, yes. And when we talk about food safety, we have hazards that cause the food not to be safe. So we have the microbiological, we have physical, and then we have the chemical. So agrochemicals fall under the chemical. With the biological, microbiological, it just takes a few hours to a few days, and then you start reacting, either vomiting or stooling. The physical hazards you will see. But the chemicals you would have to consume over a long period, maybe years. So whilst you are consuming today, tomorrow, after 1 year, 2 years, nothing will happen to you. So you will think you're okay. Because we are talking about cancers. Nobody consumes food today, tomorrow, and then gets cancer. It takes years. We are talking about infertility, disorders with babies. So these chemicals accumulate in the bodies, and then they do all these. Over the years, FDA has collaborated with agencies to look at how best to handle these misuse and then overuse of agrochemicals. We've collaborated with Kabi. Kabi is here. We've done some collaborations with them. Some years ago, we sampled agro-produce, I think 2019 or so. We sampled a number of vegetables, a whole range. And then we had, I think, about 20% of them having pesticide residues. Then in 2023, we had to do another survey. That one was on just tomatoes. And by God's grace, the results looked good, because after the 2019 survey, we had to come up with a traceability system that included a whole lot of agencies. The MMDAs were there. We had academia. We have Aiding Fruits. We had a whole lot of agencies coming together to help with the traceability. So the market women were also involved, because we had to go and train them how to be record keeping, just basic. We had a whole lot of, somebody mentioned, I think, the keynote address, that we are challenged when it comes to personnel. So in that traceability project, we had to use National Service Force. So what we do is get a lot of National Service Force. With the food division, we have at least about 300, 400 of the National Service Force that we use every year. So we train them, and then they help us with the various aspects of regulation when it comes to FDA work. Yeah, so we had to go with the National Service people to the markets to help educate the women to be keeping records where the farms they receive their produce from, and how they also distribute. So dealing with the market queens, so systems were set in place. So when we did the 2023, but 2023 was just on tomatoes, but the results were good. The challenge is FDA doesn't have a lab that can analyze pesticide residues. We have an ISO certified lab, we have a whole range, but we don't analyze pesticide residues. So when we do these surveys, then we have to see that to Ghana Standards Authority, and that comes with money. So we are not able to do it as often as we would want to. And as I said, we analyze for pesticide residues. So if you don't have high levels of the pesticides, then you will not be having the residues. So if the farmers are educated, then it will make life easy, because we are a government agency. And doing these surveys frequently, as I said, we are a bit challenged, but even within the challenges we try, because of course we know we are dealing with the health of consumers. As I mentioned, the 2023 one, tomatoes was okay. We now have to look at the other produce, the lettuce and the okra, the kontomire, and the rest. We are planning to do that last year. And as I mentioned, we also collaborate with Kabi to do education. I remember last week we were at Agrochemicals, and we were educating the women. And before we went, I was even wondering why educating the women. But then we got to know that some of the market queens, they also have farms, and they even purchase some of these chemicals for the farmers that apply this around this time so that my tomatoes will look this good. So that's how come we had to go in Kabi leading to go and educate them on the misuse of the agrochemicals. But our focus was on tomato because that is what Kabi does. I remember during the forum, the women were talking about the Sudan 4, they were talking about the carbide being used to ripen the bananas and the rest. So they were aware. They were aware because they were telling us that some of their colleagues do this, some of their colleagues do that. Yeah. So the market women are also educated, they are aware. But because all of us, when nobody is looking at us, we are just, our default is just doing the bad things. We are all looking for money. The market women too are looking for money. They would also want to have palm oil that looks very red because when we are going to buy, it appeals to our eyes. We want that. They also look they want tomatoes. They were complaining that when they have tomatoes that don't have chemicals and they are small, it may not look that good. When we go to the markets where the consumers go, we don't buy those ones. We prefer the roundish, the big ones that have chemicals. The market women mentioned that. And because they also have to sell, as Madam mentioned, they have to sell. They are there to sell, to make money. So they are tempted at times to go that way. So the market women, they also have a lot of education. We are talking about this formalin thing. They apply. The Sudan dye, some of them also apply. So they are aware that there are these food safety implications. But what we all fail to think about is, okay, I know I have applied this to this product, I am selling, I will not consume it. But I don't know that as we sit here, our siblings, our children are somewhere they are consuming. The food will be eaten today. We don't know who went to which market to go and buy to come and prepare for us. So food safety is everybody's business. So we all have to put our shoulders to the plow and ensure that we do our bit. Yeah, so FDA is doing its bit when it comes to the the misuse of the agrochemicals by sampling once a while, doing survey product monitoring to ensure that the limits are within acceptable values. Thank you.
Thank you. And when you were talking, I actually am realizing that there are different ways in which we compound the issue. Because from the fact that growing in the soil, we have the issue of chemicals being used. Before it's taken to the market, for some things, we have other chemicals being put in to, like you said, make the palm oil more red. And I think we all remember when we used to hear how wache was being, some things were being added to the wache to make it more brown and all those things. So it looks like we are compounding the issue on both ends. But Madam Joyce, if I can come to you, we are now talking about the media and the role that the media plays. And we all know that the watchdog of society is one of the most prominent roles that the media plays. So just piggybacking on the question that I asked Madam Maureen, it doesn't appear that this issue is very highlighted in the press or the media. Let's share your thoughts on why you think that is, why the misuse or use of agrochemicals, the increasing use, is not being prevalently discussed, as well as the implications of public health also that go along with the misuse of them.
The use of a local language that those of you in Ghana here can understand. GBC has Obonu radio. That does a lot of transmission, and everything is in Ghana. And we do a lot of work regarding sensitization on some of these issues. Yeah, to my question, the media has a role and a crucial role in that, in educating the public about the processes, the issues that are related to food safety and the chemicals that are applied. I think one of the reasons why it is not taking a prominent stage is the use of, we need investigative journalism, and that entails, or that comes with a lot of cost. So if, for instance, with education or some group of journalists really make it their beat to really understand what I mean, the agroecology or the effect of chemicals on food or on crops, they have to do an investigative work to unravel where all those banned chemicals are coming from, how they are stored, and how farmers are misapplying them. For instance, in collaboration with Farm Radio International, GBC's 16 radio stations are being used, and 1 hour per day. Every region has a day that they do a great education, and with this, in partnership with Farm Radio International. So with that program, we have agric officers, they call researchers, and even bring on board farmers to share their experiences and what they do. For instance, I've been told, and it's on record, that the number of agric extension officers are dwindling, some leaving for greener pastures, and also in the course of COVID, so many things happened because of the prevention of one-on-one kind of interaction. So with the incoming or projection that there will be zoonotic diseases, this is going to cut down that one-on-one contact with farmers. So what is going to be important, or what it is important now, is the use of technology, and that is the media. And it comes in the form of, apart from just the radio, we can use phones, and that is what Farm Radio is doing very well regarding that. I had the opportunity to go to I think one of the rural communities within in Sawam. And at that time, that was when Kabi was really investigating the effect of the chemicals or whatever they found, and that led to the ban of vegetables on the EU market. And with the interaction that I had, some of the farmers told me that, you know, even the chemicals that they sprayed, they weren't even aware. All they got to know that someone is using it and it works. So in an okra farm, a farmer is supposed not to apply a chemical some few hours or days before harvesting. But then they were doing it, and it was on okra. And it comes out, when it comes out so nice without blemish. And that is what most of us buy because it appeals to the eye. So in doing this, we brought out the issue very clearly. And with GBC Radio, those are some of the things that we highlight a lot with our breakfast programs, which going forward from 1st December is now going to be Radio Ghana and not Unique FM. Also, the interest of individuals as journalists is also crucial in this. I got the opportunity to really be trained, and based on that, I've taken it upon myself to really lead in that advocacy. In doing this, we also have to bring on board or highlight the positives. That is the farmers who are really doing the right thing, and NGOs that are spearheading that. It was about 3 years ago, there's this women group in Supa, in northern part of the country, and they were being trained on how to use nature-based solutions in addressing shea butter and other farming activities that will enhance the livelihoods of these women. And through the activities, including the nature-based solutions and the agroecological practices, they won an Equity Award. And that's highlighted, and I think it came with an amount of $10,000 actually. And they got that prominence international. As a result of that, they'll be getting more investors coming to buy their share, and the livelihoods of these women will be improved. So when I got to know of this, I spoke with these farmers. Because of logistical reasons, I couldn't go there myself. So I made some of our correspondents really do the interview for me, which I did. And as a result of that, I used that story, a success story, to really apply for some exposure, which I won. So in doing this, I think the media kind of has a crucial role in promoting excellence work. As much as we can talk about the negatives, we should also project the good ones that are out there that are helping. For instance, there is a lady in Takrad whose name I've forgotten. It's into organic farming and agroecological practices. And she has lived in the US for a long time, but she decided to come back, to relocate. And she's doing so well that she sends her produce to malls. And those that don't meet those standards, she sends them to the local market. So this is an indication that when we project agroecological practices, good food safety measures, it will go a long way to really change the effect that it's having on people. To the FDA, not long ago, I think in June, there was a ban on tasty tom, some batches of tasty tom. After the ban, I really went out there to find out whether they were still there. And most of the women had the tomato on their shelves. As to who is supposed to collect those batches, where they should send these to, who were just left out there, just not knowing what to do. So these are some of the things, the collection, when something is banned, whose job is it to really see to it that they are, retrieved from the market? In elsewhere, developed countries, it can be traced, it can be tracked easily where the location, who and those who have it, and that is a traceability issue, so that we can trace and take all these things out of the shelves. Now that we are getting closer to the festive season, some of these imported stuff are all going to be, sometimes we hear it on our network that they are being relabeled, and how many people really take the time to relabel the expiry dates and all to really address some of these issues. So the media has a lot to play, a lot of role to play when it comes to addressing some of these issues. And we need collaboration from the CSOs, the scientific institutions, to really help us with funding so that we may step up our game in sensitization and in advocacy.
Thank you. Thanks. So, Dr. Pierre, are there safer alternatives or best practices out there that farmers can adopt? And if yes, what are some of your recommendations on how we can use media platforms to get that information out there?
Prof. Moderator, thank you. So yeah, definitely there are safer alternatives and also best practices out there. So, but then the point is, in telling or educating farmers about some of these best practices, we need to understand it from the perspective of the farmers, why they are doing what they do. If you do not understand it that way, it will be difficult for the farmers to adopt the safer or the best practices. So for instance, we were talking to farmers about resistance in herbicides, why sometimes they spray certain areas of the farms and then certain weeds are still there, and then they have to increase the dosage in order to kill them. So we were explaining to them that this herbicide, they have different mode of action, and then the plants, they are also smart. They are higher organisms, obviously, so they have to adapt to the poison or the chemical that you are using to kill them. So they also have to adapt in a way to try to, survive the chemical that you are doing, you are spraying to them. So we were telling them that you have to be, you don't have to be using the same herbicide every year. Once in a year, you have to change it to a different chemical. And then the farmer was laughing. And then I asked why. I said, okay, so we know that this particular herbicide, the efficacy is higher than this one. And then you are telling me to change the one with a higher efficacy to the one with lower efficacy so that the weeds will, overgrow my produce or what, in order to cut down herbicide resistance. So we need to understand it from also the farmer's perspective. So usually we do talk about organic farming and other kind of things. So yeah, organic farming is good. However, we also need to know that, recent studies shows that along the Densu River, the river banks, some of the herbicides, some of the insecticides that they are using are found along the river banks. So if you are even practicing organic farming along the Densu River or even the Pra, where some of these studies have been done, and you're using the same water source to water your vegetables, you are doing organic farming, yet you are introducing the residues from the other farmers. So yeah, we need to talk about nature-based farming. So I'm aware some of my colleagues are working on botanicals like the neem and then the lemongrasses, where you are able to formulate them to control certain herbicides. But then, so from my perspective, what I push for is that we do not, there shouldn't be a target on a specific approach. So for instance, if you are talking about the use of the chemicals, don't only push the use of the chemicals. There should be the integrated approach. So what I always tell the farmer is that if you have a child, treat the crops that you have on the field as your child. If you have a child, you don't expose your children to mosquitoes, because we have medicines for malaria. You obviously will protect the child with the net, or close the doors, so that in case malaria strikes, then you take the child to the hospital to get the medicine. It's the same way for your crop. You don't go, if you are taking cassava sticks or tomato, you don't go and then taking the seeds or the stem cartons that are already exposed to diseases. In that case, the material that you are going to use to cultivate the field is already exposed to some of these pathogens. So it's going to increase the load of the pathogens, which when the disease strikes and then you are now applying the chemical to control it, it will not work to your satisfaction. Then you are forced to increase it. So there should be an integrated approach, right from the clearing of the field, the selection of the planting materials. We tell farmers that they should go to these agro dealers. And when they were introducing the stakeholders, I didn't hear Ghana Agri Input Dealers Association. They are also a key stakeholders that we also have to get them involved. So they have to get the right planting materials. And then it's not when they see the pathogens or the insects, the moment they see those insects, then they start spraying. At least there should be a threshold that they should wait. So there should be the integrated approach where we are using the good practices. So the farmers should get the right planting material, and then they should read as recommended, because you tell them that this maize that you are cultivating, you have to read twice at this stage, and then maybe at a later stage, they tell you that if I read twice, I'm increasing my cost of production. So they will rather wait at a certain stage and then read once. But then what they do not know is that some of these weeds are also hosts to other insects and other pathogens. So instead of clearing the weeds, which will now, make the field free, and then the plants will grow well, they think about the cost, and then they leave it on the field, and then some of these weeds are also going to invite other pathogens, and then now diseases are also going to strike, and then now they are going to increase the use of some of these agrochemicals. So from my perspective, I think it should be a holistic approach, an integrated approach, where we are not pushing for only chemicals, and then we are not also demonizing the use of chemicals, and we are also not being extremists in saying that we should go strictly organic. If you want to go organic, that's okay. But then for the farmer, we should understand the farmer, how these practices that we are proposing to them is also going to benefit them. Because if the practice or the approach that you are proposing to the farmer is not going to make him or her better off, they are not going to take it. So, I'm advocating for a more integrated approach where the use of herbicides or some of these agrochemicals, fertilizers, and other kind of things will be reduced. And then we will be using, adding that to the use of improved cultivars, and then also farm sanitations, where the farmers are routinely clearing their field and then not spraying at any time that they see the insect or the pathogens. So I think going forward, yes, the media is very much important in creating awareness on some of the detrimental effect of these agrochemicals. And we know from data that farmers who are aware of the risk of these agrochemicals, they have better yield, because it's not only if they are being educated, they are not just educated on the risk of these agrochemicals, they are educated on how to use it. So for instance, in Agrochemicals, where they grow maize a lot, so farmers who are aware of the risk of agrochemicals, they have better yield than those who are not aware, or because when they interact with the extension officers, when they are listening to the radio. It's not only the risk of these agrochemicals that they are exposed to, they're also being exposed to other, best farming practices like planting early or using the good materials to plant, getting it from the right source is also very, very important. So yeah, the media is very important. And then I advocate more for integrated approach. The use of nature-based solutions, the use of botanicals is important. We have to supplement that with the agrochemicals also so that we can, provide safer food for the whole populace. Yeah,
thank you. I think that what you mentioned about the yield and the incentive for the farmer actually goes back to some of the things that we saw on the video about how food that comes from the yield of agrochemical use has a shorter shelf life. And therefore, if the farmer produces all the stock, within a few days it's rotten, hopefully he or she will be interested in doing it in a way that's more sustainable for him or her to get what is coming out of it. But Honorable, this question is going to be heavy because, market women, because you are the ones that we buy the food from, we are looking at you to give us some information on how we can help you ensure that the food that you sell to us is coming from a very safe place. So maybe you can share with us what support you think the traders would need, whether it's from the media, whether it's from regulators or from farmers, to ensure that the food that you are buying to sell to us is safe.
Okay, thank you very much. I think if you come to the market, as I'm always in the market, as my sister said, we have been getting education, but education, and she said, sometimes through lack of finances, they couldn't reach the people to their best knowledge. Yes, we are there, and I think the food safety is very, 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 very important to us. That's what I would say. So, as I was saying, education is okay. Now, I'm a little bit afraid of one thing. Very, very afraid. Because we go to the hospitals and they tell us we should eat contomere, we should eat the vegetables and so on. Now, we are being told that according to checks, the vegetables are not even safe because they have got chemicals, iron, I don't know the sort of chemicals, but because of the guarantee, the vegetables are not safe. They know, and it seems as if they have put all of them in their bags and seal them up. It's high time that education is given to us because we have been told that these things are good. Now, it is coming to the highlight that they are not safe again. What education are you giving back to us? That the contomere, the salad leaves, the cassava, the yam that we are eating is not all that safe. We haven't got that education. We want to a program with this Food and Drugs Authority, and they brought those issues to us. And I said, this is the time where we should come out, educate us. If there's problem with it, how can it be solved? If it can't be solved, what is the substitute? But if you touch the thing a little bit and leave it, with the idea that, oh, we called market women, we educate them. It's not good. It's not good. From it's not good, whatness? So please, we have to be very serious. Because if it's not good, and you can't come out boldly to tell us it's not good, do this and that and this. You can cook it this way, you can try it this way, and it will be better. But you leave us like that, it's very serious. And my one issue, media, please, educate the public, educate the customers. If you come to the market and you see the foodstuff that have been heaped on a mat, on the ground, on the floor, it's not floor, ground. And because you want something cheap and you go there, nobody will force you. You see a lot of educated people with their handbags. Then they go there and buy the rotten pepper, rotten yadua, rotten tomatoes. Please bear in mind that you are buying expensive health. Because you are sending this thing to your house. No business person is so lenient to give good items away for free. Before you see some nicely dressed on the table and you see some on the floor, use your brains. There's something wrong. And with all that, you see the butter and the foodstuffs on the mat, and you leave those nicely dressed on the table to go for the rotten swans. Please, 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 you are playing with your health. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Those are very sound words of advice. We are looking at wrapping all of this up at 12:30, so we have a few more minutes left, but I wanted to find out from each of you. I'll start with you, Madam Maureen. What would your top 2 recommendations be? Looking at all the discussions we've had this morning, what are your top 2 recommendations on this issue?
Okay, as we have been trumpeting, I mentioned that we are at the post-harvest section. So if we don't use the agrochemicals indiscriminately on the farms, then we will not have the issues we are battling with. So our recommendations will be those MOFA and the other agencies who are in charge of the farms to be training the farmers periodically. Yes, there are times some of them may know what they are supposed to do, but they wouldn't. But other times too, there may be ignorance. As we have heard, somebody brings one chemical, oh, I used it on my farm, and it was able to help me do ABCD. So you would also quickly grab it. Yes, so education. The person may have used on the person's farm, maybe the concentrations were different, maybe you grabbed it and you are even using more because you want to quickly address an issue on your farm. Yeah, so constant education of the farmers so that we will not have this issue. And then the market women, as Madam has mentioned, we have been educating them. And as I mentioned last week, we were at Agubushi, the week before we were at the Graphic Road markets. When we go to the markets, we don't speak English, no. We speak the local languages, yeah. So for that, we have been doing. We have been educating them. And even these storing of products on the floor, largely it has even stopped, largely because of constant education with the environmental health officers or the local government. So largely that has stopped. And as we mentioned, if you are going to, as you mentioned, you are going to buy produce, and there are some on the floor, there are some on the table. If you decide that you wouldn't buy the one on the floor, the one storing on the floor will stop it. Yes. So those of us who are also buying, if you are wearing the dress and it doesn't fit, you just remove. But if you put something in you, food or drugs, and it causes an issue, you will not be able to quickly vomit it out, and then you have the health implication. So we have been doing the education at the markets. We will continue doing that, and then we would also, Kabi has come on board helping to collaborate. We would be grateful if more agencies also come on board to help, because for our side, it's only when we are screening these food products for these residues that we'll know whether the residues are within the acceptable limits or they are above. So we would need collaboration to do the screening constantly.
All right, thank you. Madam Joyce, can I also ask you very quickly, if you could, just 2 recommendations on the way forward?
My recommendation would be investing in media work, investigative journalism, for people to go out there to really do good journalistic work so that it will unravel those behind the trade in bringing in these chemicals. And also, we need government intervention. As government, let me use the previous promoted planting for food and jobs. It needs with the importation of a lot of chemicals. So what kind of investment are we placing in promoting biological or organic fertilizers, which can be done? Because there is this guy in the Brunahavo region that I interviewed some time ago, and he said, I'm doing, I think the COVID, he was able to really come out with good vegetables when others were failing, those who are using the chemicals. So, yeah, those who were using the chemicals had their crop really destroyed and all that. Because he applied organic fertilizers on his field, because he has a combination of all the good farming agronomic practices. Yeah, he rears the cows, the sheep, or the ruminants, and also all those things help him really maintain good harvest. So those are some of the things. And to the stand of tomato on the ground, I think it's mostly patronized by women, some people who are really into chop bar. You know, they go in there and buy this in bulk and really process it. But if we think, again, the fact that we can't really know what goes into our stomach and treat it, it's very important for us to really adhere to some of these good practices. And the media, like I'm saying, is promoting that. With GBC Radio, we have so many other programs. With the news, it's quite a short time, but we have discussion programs behind the news, Focus and others that we bring in, resource people to really expatiate on the issues.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bafo.
Thank you very much. Yes, I think education is very important. I think collaboration between media and civil society to train media on what to look for in these cases. A lot of media would need to have training on issues about toxicology, about understanding certain vocabulary in scientific journals, and to resource them to go deeper. You hear of stories about 2-3 years ago, there was a story, I don't know if you remember, a family of 6 in the Volta region ate some banku and died. And it was because the maize that the banku was made from had been recently sprayed with a chemical called chloropyrifos. And the family just died like that. I think the FDA came out to say that that was the case, that it was chloropyrifos on it. But journalists should understand, where is this chloropyrifos coming from? Who is importing it? How many countries are using these chemicals? Are these chemicals banned in other countries? Is it that these chemicals are on an international ban list and they're still coming into the country illegally? Things like DDT are illegal in other countries, but you see a lot of the people who sell these insect packets, you see someone walking in the traffic selling some medicine that kills cockroaches and stuff like that. Sometimes those banned chemicals are in them. So there must be more close monitoring. And I think from a national strategy point of view, like I said, if we want to do a national policy for Ghana in the next 50 years, if we're really thinking about our children in the next 50 to 100 years, there are some things that we'll have to really get rid of. It's like if you're going to Kumasi right now and someone asks you whether we can pass by and see something at a flower, you tell them that, no, that's not in my direction. Let's use the Nkoko route. Let's get to Kumasi. If Ghana wants to have healthy children, soil fertility in 100 years, there are some things that we have to consider right now, and it will make the decision so easy, given where we want to get to.
Thank you. I know I haven't come to the two of you, but what I wanted to do was just go to the audience who have been wonderful. Thank you so much for your attentiveness. To find out if you had any questions that you wanted to, Is anyone gonna?
Thank you very much, ma'am. I'm from the Food and Beverage Association of Ghana. I have only three, one of them to correct what the media person said. The safety term was not banned. They had a mechanical fault that created a problem for a particular batch, so they were asked to withdraw from the market. So the product is not it's not a bad product. It's a good product for us to consume. Yeah. So I was saying the safety term was not banned by the regulator FDA. It was rather a particular batch that they had a mechanical problem with. So they were asked to withdraw from the market, that particular batch. But the product is good to go. Now with the agrochemicals, no matter how we see it, they are all poisonous, depending on how we use them in applying on the crops. So over the years, what we see is that continued use of this product really affect the soil content that we see. So when you apply something today, tomorrow the effect or the output will be lower, then you want to apply more. A product like herbicide is very poisonous. That EPA should have banned this product by now. Because anytime that you apply, you are distinguishing between two plants. So the other one that you are targeting will die. What about the product that we are going to eat? This product, chemicals remain on those products for a very long time, even to the harvest time. Then one thing that I have seen, during harvest time, people will tell you, especially cabbage and lettuce and other things, apply certain chemicals and then before you harvest. But by doing so, there are time limits that we need to accept before doing the harvesting. But unfortunately, when they realize that the products are being affected by insects, they quickly apply, knowing that maybe they will lose the plant, so they would then have to harvest even before the time that that residue would then dissipate from the product. So education is the most important thing. We have our agro extension officers. We need to deploy them. And more people should be deployed in this area so that they can train the farmers. Because at the end of the day, the product that comes, if we are not careful, that is the end result that we see. Then the market women, madam, we beg you, the education starts with all of us, especially your people who are putting the product on the market tables and all that. Something has to be done. Food safety is everybody's issue. But sometimes when they go to buy the products, especially banana, they want to ripe the banana in 3 days when it's supposed to take 7 days. They do that, and then the next day they put the product on the market. When you go and buy the product and you eat, you don't know what is affecting you.
Yeah.
Rotten tomatoes, when we eat them, it affects our brain. And this is something that we need to sensitize the market women for them to know that we need not to sell rotten tomatoes, no matter how any form that it takes.
Okay, thank
but you
you
see
so
the Choba
much.
people going to buy this product, tomato, using it in the food that we eat. And it's very dangerous.
Thank
So
you.
we need
Thank
to
you.
up the education.
Thank you very
Thank you.
Who's next?
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Michael. I'm with the... Okay, I'm with the Greater Accra Market Association. So based on the discussion, we know the problems and the solution. So why is that we don't get the extension officers that deal directly with the farmers to know which farmer is doing the best practice, so that we can also educate traders that probably you buy from this particular farmer or buy from this particular area, because it's business. So far as it's business, we are buying and we are selling. So we can get our people to know who is doing the best, who is not, because the same farmers also export these vegetables. And funny enough, they do go by the standards that they are supposed to meet before they send it out there, because if you don't meet those standards, you can't export them. So why can't we do the same, that the ones that we are also going to come to consume here, we also meet the standards, or we get to know the farmers which are doing the right thing, then we buy from them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Hefodofuri, and I'm representing CSR Food Research Institute. I just want to allay the fears of consumers, because as we speak in our minds, we think that, hey, so from here, what am I going to do? Am I going to still eat or stay away from food? Previous studies or research have shown that simple processing methods, such as even washing, is able to reduce some of these residues in our foods. In addition to that, having these pesticide residues present in your food doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to have a health risk hazard on you. Because sometimes you may have these pesticides present, but when you do a health risk assessment, when you take your body weight, when you take into consideration the concentration of these pesticides present in the food and the number of times you are going to consume this food, you may realize that sometimes the hazard index may be below 1. And if it's below 1, then it means that probably cumulatively it may have effect. So please don't let us portray, try to portray to people that the use of, fine, we may also have alternative, like my brother said. We can also depend on these organic pesticides and herbicides. They are available. We have companies that are producing these. So the media can also advocate for the use of organic herbicides and pesticides. Thank you very much.
All right, so my name is Rita. I don't belong to any association, actually. I'm talking mainly for mothers and people who take care of people at home. Yes, because sometimes we do buy the foodstuffs and the washing. In a typical Ghanaian home, we are taught to wash the vegetables in one water, another. But if you have been observant and look at how people cook, these cook some things about on the TV, they wash the vegetables and they cut directly into the oil. I don't know if you've noticed. So sometimes we actually we compound our problems. So those panel members, when you give the education to the market women, try and give education, update the education of how we should also prepare, wash the vegetable is very important. And my submission also is that the policies, please update them in Ghanaian language. You can just do it like an audio, so that now the phones are there. Market women, mothers who we are in the house, we can just Google or we can just listen and update ourselves. Because you'll be caught somewhere and they'll tell you that policy 222 is against you. And you have no idea what that policy is. So my submission here is try and update your policies in the Ghanaian language as you do it in the English. and educate the masses every time, SMS, whatever. I think it will go a long way to help we at home too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I realize that we don't have questions, so we will submit that. Any comments you want to make also? No, go ahead. Your comments are also welcome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Kadri Rashad, and I represent the pesticide industry. I had already wanted to make a few comments after Mr. Yakubu did his submission. I've been very much interested in what Dr. Sapon said, because when we talk about pesticides, we normally neglect the scientific aspect of it and more of perspective or emotions. Just to run you through a few scientific approaches, how the pesticide products are being registered and even brought into the country, and the stewardship processes that it takes. For an active ingredient to be established or developed, which is called technology, it takes at least not less than 7 years for active research for an active ingredient to be developed. And once a company wants to bring in these active ingredients in a formulated process, that is the pesticide, which is the end result, you need to submit a full list of dossier to the Environmental Protection Agency for approval. And it goes through scientific processes, which also takes not less than 3 years for it to be approved. Now, what do? EPA looks at the environmental risk assessments, the dietary risk assessment, the efficacy, the toxicology, and so on. So for an active to be approved for in-use, then it must have gone through all this research and then approved for use in Ghana before it is brought in. Then it comes along with its labeling. And I heard Dr. Sapon talk a lot about the mode of action labeling and resistance management, which industry is now moving on to, because now issues of resistance is causing a lot of misuse or misapplication. Resistance management, you can either reduce the application or increase the application, which will increase the resistance. So we are introducing, together with the EP, the mode of action labeling that would enable farmers to be able to alternate these pesticides based on the classifications that they belong to reduce resistance management. And what I've picked up from all this discussion is that when we talk about pesticides and food safety, the common denominator here is misuse and misapplication. Misuse and misapplication. So we need to all make a conscious effort to continue our sensitization, which is a process. We can never finish sensitization. And a lot of it has to do with what? Attitude. I have been in the field with, I know a lot of people here. Kabi is here. We do a lot of work with them. FDA, I've worked with Dr. Paul as well. And we work closely with EPA too as well. Farmers sometimes know the right thing, but just to play to be on the safer net, they blame it on pesticides, but they don't mention misuse and the misapplication. To take you back, I'll stop here because of time. Maybe later we can have that discussion. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. So I think I would link my question to what my mom here said earlier about what we at the home level can do to better our lot. So coming down to our agency as consumers, we've heard that, for example, when we are working with, or when you buy the vegetables and the fruits, what can we do? Like, I am interested in what can we do at the home level? We've been taught that you use salt. Some say you use baking soda. Some say you use cider vinegar. Does it work? So that at our level, we can also mitigate the impact of these foods that we... So that's what my interest in. If our panelists can help us with what we can practically do at home to reduce these pesticides on the food. Thank you.
Prof. Yeah. Well, I mean, my answer to you would be that, I mean, like I said, the best thing is not to have the pesticide residue on your food at all. But some people use salt, some people use charcoal soaked in water to soak it in for a while. Other people use vinegar. But then again, you can't guarantee that it will remove all the pesticide. You see, in other countries like Europe and the US, some of these active ingredients are banned. So the gentleman who was talking about the standards and the procedures, I'm trying to figure out what kind of standards then we have here, because something that is banned outside finds its way in Ghana and we use it. But internationally, we should have the same standards. Human beings are human beings. A human liver in Ghana is the same as a human liver in Sweden or in Switzerland. So we're talking about international standards, and I think that we should be seeking the best for Ghanaian children, the best for our lives, best for our environment. And once there are natural occurring elements, I don't see why we should import these things that are expensive. And the problem is that these chemicals, the pest eventually develops resistance. So then you need higher doses of the chemical, because the insect or the worm will eventually develop resistance. Sometimes the second generation will be able to withstand the spray. Then you need 2 cans of this. So it's like I said, if Ghana is thinking about 100 years' time, there's some very, very easy decisions where we'll see that we can't afford to mess around with. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Eric Jimado, and I represent the PPRSD. PPRSD basically is Plant Protection and Regulatory Services Directorate. We are under the Ministry of Food and Agric. I think the baseline here is the dangers associated with pesticide use. And in this country currently, you realize that there are a lot of regulators involved in pesticides, use and management. So what I think should be done critically is integration of policy so that we don't work in silos. And I think my good friend here from Kabi are doing that very well. They are trying to integrate all the regulators. They work with FDA, they work with CropLife, work with PPRSD, EPA to do this. So going forward, I think there should be this strong collaboration among all the regulators to push the agenda of reducing the over-reliance on pesticides. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Solomon Ajumandia from Kabi. So a lot has already been said in terms of what we are doing with the various stakeholders, and I just wanted to touch a little bit on what my friend Rashad said, that our focus at the moment, yes, the products are dangerous in so many respects, but the focus of the education and the engagements that we are doing, it's supposed to be a lot more on the misuse and the misapplication. Some people have even asked us on the field that if this particular product is so dangerous, why does it get into the country in the first place? But the only problem there is that several chemicals, if you ask the EPA, they will explain to you that several chemicals are brought into the country for particular purposes. And then by one way or the other, some people find it useful in tomatoes. So something that is for something that may not be agriculture at all will find its way in agriculture. And it becomes very difficult to tell the policymaker to ban that product, which possibly was supposed to be for some industrial use or some other thing other than agriculture. And people have found out that when they put it on their tomato, quickly it kills the germs, and that's why they are using it. So a lot of the education should be going into what are the behavior determinants of the people who are practicing these things, so that we begin to target behavior change and then get the people to begin to behave right. The education is important, the awareness is important, but we should also go beyond the education to understand why people are practicing and doing what they do, so that they don't use cocoa products on tomato, because something may be okay with cocoa because we don't eat it directly, but because it works faster on tomato, they will just put it on tomato, which we eat directly. That's one of the key things I wanted to talk about. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Julius. I represent the Ghana Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. So I want to thank you for putting this helpful seminar together, but I have a humble appeal. Sometimes we are really interested in carrying this conversation to people's doorstep through the media, but it's sad that we we are giving very limited time. Sometimes they'll give you 5 minutes for health education, and then they give 3 hours or 6 hours for entertainment. And if you really want to focus on some of these things, then we beg, please give us more airtime so that we can also educate people. And by this, we want to ask for partnership. We are currently doing a lot of advocacy for food label, and also asking the government that they should do front of package warning label, so that when there is too much salt in the food, when there is too much sugar, and when there is too much fat in the food, consumers should know. So we seek for sponsorship to carry this education across. Thank you.
Good afternoon or good morning. Can you hear me? Okay.
So please, the front of pack labeling is on course. Yes, very soon. Yes, currently nutrition information isn't mandatory. We are trying to make it mandatory. It is voluntary currently, yeah. But when it becomes mandatory, then it will be easier to get the front of pack. So if you have high salt, high sugar, all those things will be clearly spelled out. Yeah, so the front of pack labeling is on course.
Can you hear me? First, I want to say I'm so happy. A brother from Ghana who I'm very close to, he just told me about this meeting, so I immediately took a Uber over here. Please, I humbly ask you, my brothers and sisters, I love you. Please, well, first I want to say I like the position that Ghana took when they mentioned about this, and different African countries rejected that gay, the West trying to impose the gay life on you. I want to just say though, be careful. I noticed in some of the agricultural shops called Farmers Friends, you are marketing a product called atrazine. And I wish everybody go on Google Dr. Tyrone Hayes. Tyrone Hayes, an African-American scientist, and he was paid by a GMO company called Syngenta to investigate it. And when he investigated it, he found out that it's destroying or aromatizing the testosterone in man. And testosterone is what makes a man stand up. I'll use another example. Another brother named Dr. Wesley. He's a professor.
I don't want to interrupt you, but because
no problem.
Yes, thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you. We can go over there. Could we get the gentleman in the red shirt, and then we'll go to...
All right, thank you. My name is Owusu Apia from Crusaders of Change for Environmental Health and Safety. I would like to commend the organizers of this important event, because I believe that these are some of the programs and conferences that we need to organize so that we can use the platform to educate our people. As like we all know, I think the chemical use has become one of the pollution or poisonous substance that we can all testify. I remember those days in our villages when the farmers start to do their farming. Maybe by 1 month or 2 months, you see that it starts, growing mushrooms, starts growing cocoyam, so many things. But as for today, we cannot see some of them. And we can all testify that galamsey too is destroying our water bodies, destroying the ecosystem, the wildlife. We find it in our rivers and water bodies. Nowadays, we are losing them. So I just want to use this platform to educate ourselves that whilst we are all going out there it is better and important for us that we shouldn't just leave the conversation here, but we must have to carry it on, because this morning I was at the 7DS TV discussing the social values of Ghanaians, and I talk about some of these things because the food that we are eating is part of our family values, and if we lose it, it means we are going to kill ourselves, because the food we eat is what sustain our life. So someone said that we not die, but we are killing ourselves because of the air that we breathe, the food that we drink, and then the water. So thank you very much for this.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time, and I know many of you want to have a lot to answer, share with us. So I recommend we try and huddle together during lunch and share some of these wonderful comments and questions that are coming up. I would like to thank all the panelists, Mr. Edwin Boafo, Communications Director, Food Sovereignty Ghana, Maureen Latte, representative from the Food and Drugs Administration, Honorable Besina Ofrowa Nijan, President of the Ghana Accra Markets Association, Dr. Kwame Sapong Apia, crop scientist, University of Ghana, and Joyce Jichi, journalist with the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, and of course all of you. Thank you so much.
Please remain. Let's do it better for the panel. Thank you so much, Prof, and the panel for the wonderful work done. We would end with a group photo. We'll take the panel first, then all of us will join. The photographers will advise us how best that could be done. But before that, may I invite my colleague Seth Bope, a senior associate editor at the Fourth Estate, to share a brief closing remark with us. Please welcome him as he comes. And we are being reminded that we place emphasis on prevention rather than the after. Said.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Manye told us something very interesting, that if we are buying the rotten tomatoes and vegetables from the markets, we are buying expensive health. Manya, thank you very much. That's a summary of the entire conversation we've had here. So thank you very much. And on behalf of the Media Foundation for West Africa, we want to say we are very grateful that you turn up in your numbers to make this program a success. Without you, we would have been preaching to the walls, which would not have any impact. And we urge you to become ambassadors for food safety. Each and every one of us, whether we know the effects of agrochemicals or not, this is an important conversation that we should begin to lead in our homes, in our churches, in our offices, on our farms, if we are farmers, and if you have friends and family members who are farmers. Thank you very much. And thank you so much to Prof. and the panel. It was exciting listening to you. I wish the time was more, so we continue. Thank you so much. And also, thank you very much to Mr. Yakubu for delivering an interesting speech earlier to set the tone for the conversation. As we say conventionally, if you hear the cockcrow tomorrow morning, is the Media Foundation for West Africa and the 11th Hour Project saying, thank you. We are grateful.
Thanks so much, Seth, for thanking us. So it's a wrap here from the Mensvik Hotel in Accra. We've had insightful conversation about the media and food safety. We thank you all, especially to our online participants. Hopefully, the conversations will continue. Thank you, 11th Hour, for the support. Thank you, Joy News, for the broadcast. See you all again. So the photographers, please help us. We'll take the panel first.